Let's start with a shocking truth that might sting a little if you find yourself constantly checking your bank balance, feeling a wave of anxiety before paying bills, or lying awake at night worrying about an unexpected expense. You are not thinking about money. Money is thinking about you. It has become the puppeteer, and you are the marionette, your strings pulled by every fluctuation, every need, every desire. The fundamental chasm between how the wealthy perceive currency and how the rest of the world does isn't just about amount. It's about agency. For the average person, money is not a finite thing to be earned, spent, saved, and often lost. For the truly rich, money is a verb. It is not a static resource, but a dynamic, ever-flowing current of energy, a tool of immense creative power, and a silent partner in building empires. This isn't about greed or opulence. It's about a psychological and strategic framework so profound that it alters the very fabric of reality. The first and most monumental shift in mindset is the transition from a consumer mentality to an owner mentality. Think about your last major purchase. Was it a liability that depreciates a newer car, the latest smartphone, a luxury bag, or was it an asset that appreciates or generates income? The middle class is expertly trained to be superb consumers. They work hard to earn money, to buy things that lose value, a cycle that necessitates working even harder. The wealthy, conversely, are trained to be owners. Before they indulge in the trappings of wealth, they first seek ownership. Ownership of income-generating assets, a piece of a business, a share of stock that pays dividends, a piece of real estate that tenants pay for, intellectual property like a book or a course, or even a digital asset. Their primary question about any dollar that comes into their possession is not what can I buy with this, but what can this dollar buy for me? This shifts money from being the finish line to being the employee. You are no longer working for money, you are putting money to work for you, no matter how modestly it begins. This owner mindset breeds patience and long-term vision. It understands that a seed does not become a mighty oak overnight. It requires planning, consistent nourishment, and time protected from being dug up. The impulsive need for instant gratification, the new car smell, the social media validation from a lavish vacation is the weed killer to this oak tree. The wealthy defer these gratifications not out of austerity, but out of a calculated understanding of exponential growth. They comprehend the terrifying power of compound interest, which Einstein reportedly called the eighth wonder of the world. They aren't just saving, they are systematically and relentlessly investing, allowing time and mathematics to perform the heavy lifting. This is why you often hear stories of wealthy individuals living surprisingly frugally in their accumulation phase, driving used cars, living in modest homes, not because they can't afford more, but because every dollar redirected from a depreciating liability to an appreciating asset is a future soldier recruited into their army, working 24/7 without sleep. Their net worth is not what they drive or wear. It's the silent, growing column of assets that work while they sleep. This foundational shift is non-negotiable. You must begin to audit your financial flows not through the lens of monthly budgeting alone, but through the stark filter of asset or liability. Until this becomes your automatic response to financial decision-making, you remain a consumer in a game designed by owners. Now, I want you to pause this video for just 30 seconds, open the notes on your phone, and write down the last 3 non-essential purchases you made. Next to each, honestly label it asset or liability. Don't judge yourself, just observe. This simple act is the first step in rewiring a lifetime of conditioning. Then, come back, because we're about to dive into the second pillar, how the wealthy view time, which is even more precious than money itself. Welcome back. If the first mindset shift is about making money your employee, the second, and arguably more profound, shift is about understanding that money is a poor substitute for your most irreplaceable asset, time. The middle class trades time for money. It's a straightforward, linear equation. Hours worked equals dollars earned. This equation has a brutal, inherent ceiling. There are only 24 hours in a day, and you can only physically and mentally work so many of them. Your income, therefore, is capped by your time and energy. The wealthy fundamentally reject this model. They strive to sever the direct link between their time and their income. Instead of trading time for money, they trade value for money, and they build or acquire systems that trade value for money independently of their continuous time investment. This is the essence of scalability. A lawyer billing by the hour is capped. A software developer who creates an app that solves a problem for millions can earn while they sleep. An author writes a book once, but it sells copies for decades. An entrepreneur builds a system of business with processes, teams, and management that delivers value reliably without their day-to-day, minute-by-minute involvement. Their goal is to create and own the machine, not to be the most indispensable cog within it. This is why the wealthy are obsessive about leverage. They leverage other people's time, opt, by building teams and delegating. They leverage other people's money, OPM, to invest in larger deals, like using a mortgage to buy real estate or investor capital to scale a business. They leverage technology to automate processes. And most importantly, they leverage intellectual property ideas, systems, brands that can be replicated at near-nil marginal cost. This focus on value over time changes their relationship with work entirely. Are not seeking a job. They are seeking problems to solve. The size of the problem often correlates to the size of the financial reward. Solving a minor inconvenience for a few people might make you a small income. Solving a widespread, painful problem for a large audience can build a fortune. Their thinking is solution-oriented and market-driven. They ask, what do people need? What do they desperately want? What inefficiency can I remove? Then they architect a solution. This is a stark contrast to asking, what job can I get that pays the most for my skills? One approach creates a market. The other asks for a slot within an existing one. This mentality also makes them exceptionally comfortable with delayed and asymmetric cash. An employee expects a predictable paycheck every 2 weeks. An investor or entrepreneur might pour years of time and capital into a venture with no guarantee of return, understanding that the payoff, if it comes, will be multiples of their input and not a linear hourly wage. They embrace calculated risk, not blind gambling. They do their homework, analyze the odds, manage downsides, but they are willing to play the game where the rewards are disproportionate. This brings us to a critical, often misunderstood point. The wealthy see money not as safety, but as a tool for acquiring freedom. The middle-class dream is often one of security, a stable job, a good pension, a paid-off house. These are not bad goals, but they are fundamentally defensive. The wealthy dream is offensive. It's about freedom, the freedom of time, location, and choice. Their accumulated assets and systems are not just for consumption. They are the engine of liberation. This pursuit dictates every decision. They will often take what seems like a risky, unstable path, starting a business, investing in a volatile asset, because the potential freedom prize is worth the insecurity price. They value their discretionary time, the hours they completely control above all else. This is why they hire assistants, use delivery services, and outsource tasks they are not expert in. It's not about laziness. It's a rigorous economic calculation. If an hour of their time can be used to generate $1,000 in value for their enterprise, it is irrational to spend the hour doing a $50 task. They buy back their time relentlessly to reinvest it into high-value activities, strategy and networking, learning, and creation. Your assignment from this segment is to conduct a time audit for 1 week. For every hour block, label it trading time for money, building, managing a system, or personal recharge. The goal is not to eliminate the first category overnight, but to consciously start shifting hours from the first column into the second. Every hour moved is a brick in the foundation of your future freedom. Now, let's move to the third pillar, which is where most people get emotionally stuck, the relationship with failure and learning. We've established that the wealthy think in terms of assets and systems over consumption and time for money trade-offs. But here lies the biggest stumbling block for most people: the visceral, terrifying relationship with failure. For the average person, financial failure is a catastrophe to be avoided at all costs. A lost job, a failed investment, a business that doesn't take off is a source of shame, a bloated identity, and a setback that can take years to recover from. It is a permanent stain on the record. For the wealthy, particularly those who have built their own wealth, failure is not a catastrophe. It is data. It is the tuition fee paid to the University of Real-World Experience. This distinction is absolutely everything. The middle-class mindset is often rooted in a desire for perfection and security, leading to risk aversion. It prefers the known misery over the unknown possibility. The wealthy mindset is rooted in experimentation and adaptation. It sees the world as a series of feedback loops. You try a strategy. If it works, you scale it. If it fails, you analyze why, extract the lesson, and pivot. The failure itself is not personal. The refusal to learn from it is the only true failure. This allows them to play a completely different game. While others are frozen by the fear of making a mistake, they are taking iterative, calculated shots on goal. They understand that a base hit is good, a strikeout is learning, but never swinging the bat guarantees you never get on base. This mentality transforms their emotional response to loss. Losing money in a bad investment is painful, yes, but it is framed as, what did this teach me about due diligence, about market cycles, about my own emotional biases? That lesson is then banked as intellectual capital, which is far more valuable than the lost financial capital because it will inform future, larger decisions. This is why you'll hear many successful entrepreneurs say they would never invest in a first-time founder who hasn't experienced some form of significant failure. They see that lack of scar tissue as a liability. This embrace of the learning curve extends to their identity. A person with a middle-class mindset often ties their self-worth directly to their job title and salary. I am a manager at X company. When the job goes away, the identity crumbles. The wealthy mindset separates identity from occupation. They might think, I am a problem solver in the renewable energy space, or I am a builder of financial systems. This is a fluid, skill-based identity that can manifest through multiple vehicles: a job, a side business, an investment portfolio, a consultancy. If one vehicle breaks down, the core identity and skill set simply find a new vehicle. This makes them resilient and agile. Furthermore, the wealthy are voracious, intentional learners, but not in the way we traditionally think. They aren't just reading more books, though many do. They are engaging in targeted, applied learning. They identify the specific knowledge gap standing between them and their next objective, and they assault it. They find mentors, take specialized courses, devour industry reports, and deconstruct the successes of others. Their learning is not for entertainment or general edification. It is a tactical tool for bridging a gap. They are deeply curious, but their curiosity is channeled. They also possess what psychologist Carol Dweck calls a growth mindset, the belief that abilities and intelligence can be developed through dedication, and hard work. This is the bedrock of their relationship with failure. A fixed mindset sees a setback as proof of inherent limitation. I'm just not good with money. A growth mindset sees it as a challenge to develop a new skill. I need to learn how to analyze balance sheets. This learning orientation makes them incredibly adaptable in a rapidly changing world. While others cling to obsolete models, like a secure job in a dying industry, they are constantly scanning the horizon, learning new skills, and pivoting towards emerging opportunities. They see change not as a threat, but as the arena where new fortunes are built. The old model is being disrupted. Fantastic. That means there is a vacuum to be filled. They learn the rules of the new game faster than anyone else. So, your task from this segment is a reframing exercise. Think of one past financial or professional failure. Now write down 3 specific, actionable lessons you learned from it that you still use today. If you can't find 3, dig deeper. This practice actively rewires your brain to see setbacks as the source of your future strategic advantage. Now let's delve into the 4th pillar, which is the social and network dimension of wealth, an aspect far more powerful than any individual skill. We've covered internal frameworks, owning assets, building systems, and learning from failure. But wealth, particularly significant wealth, is rarely built in a vacuum. It is a social phenomenon. Here's a crucial distinction. The middle class often views networking as a necessary evil for job hunting, a transactional exchange of resumes and favors. The wealthy view their network as their most valuable capital, more critical than cash in the bank. They understand the principle of access. It's not just about who you know, it's about who knows you, trusts you, and is willing to open doors for you. This network is not a Rolodex. It's a carefully cultivated garden of strategic relationships. Their thinking shifts from how can I get something from this person to how can I add massive value to this person's life or business. They operate on the law of reciprocity, but with a long-term, generous first approach. They make introductions without being asked, share valuable insights freely, and look for ways to help others succeed. This builds profound social capital and trust when the time comes that they need an introduction, capital, or advice. The goodwill they've built creates a powerful gravitational pull. Their network becomes a source of proprietary deal flow, hearing about opportunity before they hit the market. Expert knowledge, access to the best legal, financial, and strategic minds, and emotional support from peers who understand the unique pressures of building and preserving wealth. This is why mastermind groups, exclusive clubs, and industry conferences are so prevalent. It's less about the venue and more about the concentrated access to a high-caliber peer group. They consciously and deliberately curate their inner circle. The old adage, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, is taken as financial gospel. They assess not just the character, but the mindset, ambition, and competence of those they allow into their inner orbit. They will distance themselves from perpetual pessimists, energy vampires, and those with a chronic victim mentality, not out of cruelty, but out of self-preservation. Financial success requires a mindset that is optimistic, proactive, and resilient, and that mindset is contagious, for better or worse. They surround themselves with people who challenge them, who have achieved more than they have in certain domains, and who operate at a level they aspire to. This environment creates a constant positive pressure to grow. Furthermore, the wealthy think in terms of teams, not solo heroics. They know their own strengths and have no ego about their weaknesses. Their goal is to build a personal board of directors, a brilliant accountant, a sharp lawyer, a connected mentor, a trustworthy investment advisor. They don't try to be the expert in everything. They try to be the expert conductor of the orchestra of experts. This delegation to top-tier talent, while expensive upfront, saved fortunes and avoided mistakes and seized opportunities. Their network also provides reality checks. In a world filled with yes men and sycophants, especially as one becomes wealthier. Having a small circle of brutally honest confidence is priceless. They can present a half-baked idea and get a franc. That's terrible, and here's why, which is worth millions and save time and capital. This social dimension extends to their perception of branding and reputation. They understand that in the digital age, their personal and professional brand is a tangible asset. They manage it meticulously. They are seen as reliable, knowledgeable, and value-driven. A strong reputation attracts opportunity like a magnet. A damaged one repels it. They think long-term about every public interaction, knowing that today's burned bridge could be the only path to tomorrow's golden opportunity. For them, integrity isn't just a moral choice. It's a strategic one. It reduces transaction costs. People don't need lengthy contracts and safeguards when they know your word is bond. This high-trust personal brand becomes a form of currency that can be spent to open doors that pure money cannot. So, your action step from this segment is strategic and might feel uncomfortable. Identify one person in your existing network or one person you could reasonably connect with via LinkedIn, an event, a mutual contact who embodies a mindset or possesses knowledge you admire. Reach out with a specific, humble request for a brief conversation or a piece of advice on a topic they are expert in. Your goal is not to ask for a job or money, but to learn and to start building a bridge. Send one such message this week. Plant one seed in your network garden. Now we arrive at the final, overarching pillar, which binds all the others together, the psychology of abundance versus scarcity. We've journeyed through the core mental models: ownership over consumption, systems over time, learning over failure, and networks over solitude. Underpinning all of these, acting as the psychological operating system, is the defining mindset of abundance versus scarcity. This is not woo-woo positivity. It is a fundamental cognitive lens that dictates behavior. A scarcity mindset is rooted in fear and limitation. It sees the world as a pie of fixed size. If someone else gets a bigger slice, it means less for you. It fosters jealousy, short-term thinking, and hoarding. It whispers, there's not enough to go around. Protect what you have. The opportunity is too risky. You might lose everything. An abundance mindset, conversely, is rooted in possibility and growth. It sees the world as an expandable pie, where innovation and value creation can make the entire pie larger for everyone. It fosters collaboration, long-term vision, and generosity. It says there is more than enough to create and discover. My success does not require your failure. In fact, we can create more success together. The wealthy, especially the self-made, operate from abundance. This is why they can be generous with their knowledge, make introductions freely, and invest in others' ideas. They genuinely believe that creating more value and elevating those around them expands the ecosystem, which ultimately creates new and often unexpected opportunities for themselves. They see money as something that flows, like water. If you dam it up and hoard it out of fear, it becomes stagnant. If you channel it, intelligently investing it, using it to build systems, to learn, to help others, you create a circulatory system that brings more flow back to you, often from surprising sources. This mindset liberates them from petty competition. They are not trying to beat the person next to them at their job for a 5% raise. They are focused on creating an entirely new game on a different field. They compete with their own past performance, not with their neighbors. This abundance thinking directly fuels their risk tolerance and patience. They can invest in a 10-year project because they believe in the future growth it will unlock. They can lose money on a venture without it destroying their self-concept because they believe in their capacity to create again. Their sense of self-worth is internally generated from their skills, resilience, and character, not externally from their current bank balance. This is the ultimate insulation against the emotional roller coaster of markets and business cycles. Now, let's synthesize all 5 pillars into a single actionable philosophy. How rich people think about money is not a collection of tips and tricks. It is an integrated worldview. It starts with seeing money as a tool for acquiring income-generating assets, ownership. It uses those assets and builds systems to buy the ultimate luxury, freedom of time, systems. It approaches the inevitable setbacks as tuition payments, extracting data to refine the strategy, learning. It recognizes that exponential growth happens through other people teams, mentors, networks, and strategic relationships. Network. And all of this is powered by a deep-seated belief in expansion, collaboration, and future possibility, abundance. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It is a get-rich-slowly, surely, and sustainably blueprint. It requires rewiring decades of social conditioning that promotes consumption, linear time for money trade, risk aversion, and isolation. The journey begins in your mind today with your very next financial decision. Will it fund a liability or an asset? Will it trade your hours or build a system? Will you see a mistake as an end or a lesson? Will you connect to add value or to extract it? Will you act from fear of lack or from faith in creation? This is the quiet, daily internal work that separates a life of financial anxiety from a life of financial freedom. The tools and opportunities have never been more accessible. The information is all out here. The barrier is not capital, it is psychology. You have just spent this time immersing yourself in that very psychology. So here is your final non-negotiable call to action. This cannot end with you just feeling inspired. Inspiration without application is entertainment. First, subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell. Why? Because we are just getting started. In the coming videos, we will deconstruct each of these 5 pillars with concrete, step-by-step plans. We will talk about specific asset classes for beginners, how to build your first online system with zero money, scripts for reaching out to mentors, and exercises to dismantle a scarcity mindset. This is your free masterclass, but you need to be here to receive it. Second, I want you to commit to one single, small action from this video in the next 24 hours. Not a big, scary life overhaul. One thing. Revisit the note from paragraph 1 and cancel one planned liability purchase. Do the time audit from paragraph 2. Write the failure lesson from paragraph 3. Send the one network message from paragraph 4. Choose one. Execute it. Third, comment below with the word mindset and tell me which one pillar resonated most with you and why. That does 2 things. It solidifies the learning in your own mind by forcing you to articulate it, and it builds a community right here below this video of like-minded people on the same journey. We can learn from each other. You are not doing this alone. The path to thinking differently about money starts with a single decision to engage, not just consume. Make that decision now. Subscribe, take one action, and join the conversation below. I'll be reading the comments, and I'll see you in the next video where we begin the real work.